Welcome to Internet Investigations. I am your psychedelic psychopomp, Chase Clarence Calloway, and you are tapping into the root of the symmetry so you can tune in to the mind of Mercury. And when you tune into the mind of Mercury, you get to find out that Woden and Zarathustra are both aspects of one soul. They are both the same space expressing its imagination at two different points in time. So this is where Metatron was creating the metaverse way before Masons wanted to make up Marvel so that they could make money weaponizing all these indigenous ideas and all these many ways in which the space that built Mercury connected with itself throughout this simulation, so that they can then sell you the idea that you're not a superhero on your own, which is what Zoroaster or Zoroastrianism is, what Hermeticism, Hermes is, what Mr. Trismegistus, this is what any messenger from Mercury would have been teaching you if you correlated to them directly. This is why you're rolling with symmetry right now. So any messenger from Mercury is going to teach you that you are a superhero and how you can save yourself from any circumstance that you find yourself in. That's what it means to be a superhero. So when Masons and Jesuit Christians, when they're stealing all of the messengers of Mercury wisdom, all they can do is make up their own superhero of Jesus to teach you that you are not your own superhero and that you need to sacrifice your life to the same structure that they taught you their superhero did. So because you learn about your religion from a Bible, which is by Zoroaster, it's by a bull, it's by a Taurus, all right, they stole it from him, but the other thing is like you're buying bullshit. But hey, there's a lot of correlations you can make with the Bible. The point is, when you're buying the bullshit of the Bible and you're trying to get connected to this Taurus structure that makes you feel like you're in heaven, because that's what Taurus is, 10, heaven, in Zoroaster astrology, now you know completely that the Bible is literally Zoroastrian astrology being weaponized against you. So you feel like you shouldn't be like Hermes and be happy alone. Instead, you feel like you need to work your way into someone else's heaven. And now you're going to be happy in a space that you didn't create for yourself. It makes no sense. As the actual creator of these ideas, it makes no sense to me. You can't convince me that I need to work my way into your heaven, and I also shouldn't care about the history of your religion, and I should just also accept that no matter how individual I am or how separate I feel, I'm created by someone that I don't understand. But then you don't understand nature, and I understand nature better than you, and I can do everything. This system is so disgusting. So this is why we're decolonizing, all right, all these lies that Masons have spread, okay? Because the point is they have to weaponize the truth to sell you lies. So when we look at the Bible, it's weaponized truth selling lies. There's a lot of lies in the Bible. There's a lot of truths in the Bible. We look at Marvel, the Marvel Universe. There's a lot of lies in the Marvel Universe, but they're weaponizing the truth so that those lies are relatable. Otherwise, you wouldn't give a fuck about the lie. Okay, so this is all movies, all stories. If your story, because all stories, have like basically lies, but the point is a story isn't relatable if it's not truthful. So if a story didn't actually happen, it's not relatable because more than one space did not connect with it consistently. You see that? You see how that works? So that's how water gets made. This is why water is the truth. Fire is a lie because fire is just what a spirit is projecting out for them to see. But the truth is water because that's what other spaces can actually consistently relate upon. This is why water fasting heals your body from a spiritual level, okay? So they stole all that from me. All those ideas of Jesus fasting to go talk to God in the desert, they stole that from Zoroaster, fasting to talk to his god, Ahura Mazda. They stole that from Enoch, fasting to talk to Metatron and become Metatron, because it's not about being outside of God. It's about knowing that you as a spirit built a structure that's allowing you to connect with other spirits. And when you're ready to evolve the way you communicate, now you're going to transcend, rapture, meet your higher self. Okay, that's what it means to then level up in that cosmic way. So that's what we're all supposed to be doing. Okay, again, if you're rolling with Hermes or Zarathustra or Tehuti, any messenger from Mercury, they're going to be teaching you how you're a superhero and how you can save yourself from any circumstance you put yourself into. So it's purely because white people, or let's just say these Masonic Jesuits, they literally are so disconnected from their spirits, they don't believe that they created the circumstance of being born. So they can't relate on that. They can't relate on past lives. If they could relate on past lives, they would have to take responsibility for the fact of how all their actions are separating people from their spirits right now, from their spaces right now. So they also have to be in the space of not believing that they created themselves. So all these evil people feel like they need to be saved from their sins. But this is where they get put in the trap of they have to do sins to feel like they need to be saved from. But then the religion that's teaching them that they're sinful is saying that they can do all the sins they want as long as they accept their superhero, Jesus Christ, as the one true Son of God. So now all these children of God are taught that they're children of God by this book that's also teaching them that they're not actually children of God. There's only one true Son of God, and he sacrificed himself to the government that is building its matrix off of the systemic genocide of indigenous individuals across the planet. So we all need to support that agenda. Welcome to the Jew world order. Wild. That's been my whole life. I hate, man, this system is not going to make me hate this world. This system is not going to make me hate this world, all right? So we're changing it, okay? So this is us decolonizing all these lies of how they've stolen the wisdom of Mercury from the Library of Alexandria, from the libraries in Mesoamerica. They've stolen all the emerald tablets of Tehuti. They're keeping all these indigenous artifacts for themselves because they feel like they're smarter for cannibalizing the shit that they steal from others and then using it to keep you dumber. That's the only way they can be smart, is by creating a system where they literally manufacture ignorance. They manufacture unintelligence. So now America is notoriously dumb. Like when we look at that movie Idiocracy, literally, like that's the exact programming of how these Masons want everyone to feel and act, because that's the only way they can be powerful. Because they're only powerful based on how they're consuming the creations of spaces that they actually need to exist and correlate their life to the universe. So they need astrology. This is why they worship all the spirits who made astrology possible. But they're going to lie to you about the actual history of them. One, because they don't know the actual history. And two, if you knew the true history, you would not support cannibals. You wouldn't support rapists. You wouldn't support white supremacists. You would just want to go learn how to be your own superhero instead of learning how you need to be saved by someone who's justifying genocide. So we're looking at a page here on AuthenticGathaZoroastrianism.org, where we are seeing how Woden and Ahura Mazda are both the same spirit at two different points in time. And yeah, this is us just correlating the proof. All right, because I know people need more earth to stand on when I'm saying all these things. So this is internet investigations where we are correlating our individual imaginations to how we have expressed our imaginations in the past. So, Mazda is the Ahura Azir par excellence in Zoroastrianism and is closely connected to, if not almost identical to, Woden, the greatest of the Asir in Norse mythology. Same space, different points in time. With both their association in imagination, creativity, powers of mind and spirit to recall and summon into being. So literally the power of creation, the power of creating life from your imagination. Everything that you see in chaseyourgenes.com, everything that we have rolling in symmetry, that's exactly what I've always been on. Talking to you about how space creates life by imagining a light that it then connects with consistently and communicates externally so that it can then structure this light into a body that allows it to relate with other spaces who've done similar things. And this is how we're all evolving together. So the Woden time in my life was when I planted a symmetry out in space, created all these realms, and allowed all of my families to branch out. And we just grew and grew and expanded. But we're not demonic to the point where we're attached to that light like that. You know, like we don't need that light. We remember the time where we were other forms of light. So this is the point of not being demonic and trying to live forever. These Masons feel the need to lie, rape, consume, and spread misery through the Marvel universe and through the Bible and through their Masonic ideas in general that they've stolen from Mercury, because they're not happy alone. Misery needs company. Okay? So because they're not happy alone, they need to go out to the new world. and go steal everything from Native Americans. They need to use a religion to justify that because they're miserable. They're not in heaven alone. They're in hell alone. Okay, so Odin, that time was about sharing heaven. This is the wisdom of being Hermes, okay? This is being symmetry. It's about sharing heaven and creating structures that allow spirits to experience heaven together. It's just then knowing that the moment you're experiencing heaven with others, you're technically in hell because heaven is just your idea of being alone in your space. That's what it means to be truly infinite, truly individual, truly your whole imagination. You're alone in your space. And that's where you can do anything. Right? So this is why it's essential to know that spiritually you are your space before you become a structure. Or else you're going to get lost in the logical laws of the atmosphere that dictates your structure. Right? So if I really believe that I was this body, I would get lost in the laws of the people who control the air here, aka the people who control the communication. Right? So that's how I would get lost in white supremacy. I would become a slave to the system versus me being symmetry, me being Chase Clarence Calloway, your trippy, tripsy, psychedelic psychopomp, hanging out on Mercury, hanging out with my information, hanging out with Anubis, hanging out with my family. I can actually be connected with how my imagination has become realized in the past and how that's built structures that allow me to connect with the spaces that I'm still connected with up to this day. This is the point of building families. You see that? Like, it's all about families, all right? Your functional family, specifically. So, I just went really hard on how Odin and Ahura Mazda are connected, but I'm just saying, like, this is the point of Mercury. Okay, so it's me doing what I've always been doing. It's just going to be a different form here, different form here, different form here, because I'm relating with different people. If we're speaking a different language, my name's not going to always be the same, but it will always be attached and connected to the structure that I've built to connect with spaces outside of myself. So this is where they stole the concept of the metaverse from Metatron being Ahura Mazda, being Odin. The concept of the metaverse is simply the symmetry. They want to connect all the spaces in existence. Or any space that wants to get connected with them, they want to connect you. So that's them trying to be Metatron. They're trying to be the messenger of God. They're trying to communicate with every spirit who becomes aware of who they are. And they want to harness your energy in doing that. And then steal your information in doing that. Because they can only do things in an evil way. So the point of nature is that it's the first metaverse, or really astrology. Mercury sets up the metaverse when universes are ready to upgrade how they communicate. So then this is how a universe, there's infinite universes in existence, infinite universes, but they get connected to the metaverse, all right? They get connected to the metaverse through Metatron. So once a universe becomes aware enough of being able to send out the right vibrations to call Metatron away from Mercury, this is where Metatron and Anubis work together to set up Egypt, to set up Mesoamerica, to set up pyramids, to set up systems of communication overall. So this is why the Masons are obsessed with Metatron and Anubis, okay? And Odin and Zoroaster and Hermes and Tehuti and just astrology in general. They're obsessed with using astrology against you so that you work for them instead of you learning how to use astrology for yourself so you work for yourself. Look, that's important. The attested forms of Odin are derived from Wodenans. Cool. In Old Norse word initial W is dropped before rounded vowels, and so Woden became Odin. Woden comes from Watus, mantic poetry. Wotus, God-inspired. Wet, sacred vision. I'm very well butchering. Hilarious. I'm very well butchering the pronunciation of these words because I'm not exactly sure how macrons are pronounced okay when it comes to these symbols. And even when one feels like they're completely sure, there's always going to be someone coming in like, actually it's pronounced like, so we're just going to be natural about it. Yeah. Woden comes from Watus, mantic poetry. Wotis, God-inspired, wet, sacred vision. Woto, true knowledge, shamanic wisdom. Cool. So Woden basically translates to God-inspired, sacred vision, true knowledge, shamanic wisdom, mantic poetry. That sounds like all of Chase Your Genes right there. It's chaseyourgenes.com. Everything that we have written on that website is literally God-inspired. Straight up. Everything on chaseyourgenes.com. God-inspired. It is a sacred vision. It's shamanic wisdom. It's true knowledge. And, depending on the ear or the eye of whoever's perceiving it, one can consider it mantic poetry. So, cool. Latin, dates. Prophet, seer. Old Church Slavonic, Aviti, Vedic, Vat with the prefix apti. To inspire, to excite, awaken. Cool. Avestan Vati with the prefix ip. To inspire with true knowledge. To understand, have insight of. To excite, awaken with spiritual wisdom. All come from the same ancient root as Watus and Woden and or Odin. Cool. The Proto-Indo-European meaning of the root of the Avestan Vati, Old Church Slavonic Aviti, Germanic Watus, are all relating to spiritual excitation, inspiration, true insight, and sacred vision. Spiritual excitation, inspiration, true insight, and sacred vision. Again, chaseyourgenes.com. Straight up. Vaiti appears to be the poetic Gathas in Yasna. 44.18, fourth rhyme verse line, in the sense of having insight, sacred vision of healing, curative powers, and immortality. Odin is a healer god, a shaman. Mercury. That's what it means to be Mercury, by the way, to be a healer god. So every god, every messenger from Mercury is considered a healer god because the caduceus represents your spine and it represents how you build your body. So every messenger from Mercury is like very healthy by default because they're communicating with you about how you build your body based on Mercury's awareness of how it built its own body. So that's why we have Decolonize Your Face, because I specifically turned off my awareness so that I could let the school system fuck up my teeth and fuck up my spine. And so now that my awareness has been going back up due to me fasting and getting these chemicals out of my body and getting all the government's garbage just out of my temple in general, cleaning it out through my years of fasting, I've been able to raise my awareness and realize how everything that I've connected in Decolonize Your Face when it comes to how teeth actually work and how braces actually fucked up my spine and fucked up my face structure overall is connected to the caduceus. So this is all my personal journey. Right? You can't fake this. This is literally me connecting with myself so that I can build a structure that allows you to connect with yourself. That's how nature works. That's what truth is. Like, you can't say something isn't true if it's a structure that exists. Like, that's like saying this tree isn't real, but you can touch it, you can cut it down, and you can print your imaginary Bibles on it. So how is that tree not real? Right? Like, boom, nature's a truth, okay? And nature is created by spaces connecting with themselves consistently in a way that allows them to build a structure so you can do the same. That's how we build an atmosphere that allows all of us to breathe life into these bodies and shit. So yeah, every messenger from Mercury by default is going to be a healer god. A seer and shape changer. Cool. Interestingly, in the above Gathic verse, in addition to healing powers, there is reference to shape changing in the third rhyme verse line. Shape shifting. Again, building your body. In the Avestan hymn of Tristar and the hymn to the god power of victory, plus the above Gathic verse, Gathic, whatever, the inspired assumes various sacred animal forms. So that's like Quetzalcoatl. Odin and Quetzalcoatl, same space. So shape shifting into different animals, all about building your body. And it's all about, as a spirit, being in tune with your animalistic natures. Knowing that this man form that you have, like being a man, is really just our idea of how we want our minds to look, basically. Like, that's the idea of being a man or woman. It's very Masonic. We're relating in a Masonic construct. So being a man or woman, right, it's the idea of making your mind real. Your soul is animalistic. So this is why we don't, ideally, us as humans, want to look like animals all the time. If you're more Masonic, if you're someone who wants to appear like the Maze Sun, because literally Masons are obsessed with Chase Clarence Calloway, they're obsessed with Zoroaster, they're obsessed with Taurus in general, they're obsessed with the spirit of Mercury being a Taurus, because the spirit of Mercury being a Mason, the original Mason, creates astrology by placing that fixed earth Taurus energy. And that's where, again, that's in Zoroastrian astrology, number 10, because it represents heaven, heaven being the body. And we're all supposed to feel like we're in heaven when we're in the body. That's how you know that you built a good body. So that's what Taurus is. And that siren just threw me off. I cannot wait to not live next to a highway here in LA. Cannot wait. It's coming. Okay, I'm on my Spider-Man journey right now. I'm glad that I even have a place to live. All right, I just played that Marvel Spider-Man game, and he was evicted halfway through that game. So they literally want people in poverty, and the way that inflation's going up, and the way that they're just like using money to manipulate people's emotions and encourage slavery, it's so deep. Marvel is so deep in using money to encourage poverty and slavery, and predictively program how poverty is supposed to be normal and relatable. So now everyone is okay with being enslaved by Masons, because they were taught that superheroes are also enslaved by Masons. Disgusting. When Masons, again, stole their whole idea of being a superhero from the true son of May, from Zoroaster. That's what it means, the Taurus. So again, you would not have to feel like you need to be saved by someone outside of yourself if you did not feel like you built a good body internally. So even my heaven is awesome. My heaven is better than anyone else's heaven in existence. So for someone to make a religion where they're trying to convince me that I'm not good enough alone and I need to go to their structure, when historically I see that their religion was created by stealing everything from Metatron and indigenous peoples, that's disgusting, that's insane, and I can see why I'm alive right now. Otherwise, I would just go to my heaven. And I can do that. I do that. All right. I do that when I get DMT in my system. I do that when I fast, in general, raising my vibration. But when you fast, you increase the production of DMT in your system. So that is what allows you to separate your mind from your body and navigate to your space. It's that simple. And your space is heaven. If your space isn't heaven, then you need to work on that. That's why you're rolling with Hermes now. You got to decolonize your mind. If your space isn't heaven, then you have to decolonize your mind. So, chaseyourgenes.com, okay? Go to war on everything that's separating you from yourself. That's the true wisdom of Woden. Okay, so that's why Woden planted a symmetry. He was going to war against everything that separated him from himself. And, of course, the balance is knowing that anytime you create something, you truly separated yourself from your space. But once you as a space learn more about yourself, you want to create more structures that allow you to be more authentically your space. So then that's where you start branching out in reality and building trees. Symmetries that other families can relate on and transform on. And now you're all creating together. It's very nice nature. In the younger Avesta, the root appears in Yasna and the Venidad. Again, in a sense, showing, revealing, making visible. So, yeah, we got a whole shamanic vibe here. Right, Masons are obsessed with appearing like men. They want to appear like a May sun because they're running away from their souls. So, a true messenger of Mercury, not running away from his soul, he is going to be in tune with the animalistic nature of life. And this is where he's going to be more into nature in general and more empathetic. Whereas Masons, them being obsessed with men and being seen as a man, they're not empathetic. They're constantly in a more egotistic sense of trying to separate from their soul. So they're more focused on enslaving animals and separating from animals and appearing like they're better than the animals that they need to survive. So then that's where they become destructive. And men are very much Martian in that degree. The idea behind Woden and our Woden is spiritual ecstasy. Hell yeah. Fierce energy and creative insight and inspiration. It's true. Mazda, the supreme Ahura of Zoroastrianism, comes from the root Mendhi. The root refers to mind, imagination, wit, willpower, meaning, soul, and sense. All right. Hey, chaseyourgenes.com. Mind, imagination, wit. We got a lot of wit on that website. Willpower, fasting, meaning, why are you making art? Why are you speaking right now? Why are you alive? Soul, how do you connect with everything? And sense, how do you feel about everything? How do you perceive everything? It's nice. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so cool. Mercury shit. I like it. See the poetic Gathas Yasna Men Garade Vohu Dade Hathra Man Angha. People sitting behind this screen like, he's butchering it. Chase, you're butchering it. Oh, you're just chopping it up, bro. You're fucking with your American accent. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Like, international, just anyone who really knows how this is supposed to be said, hey, leave a video response. Goddamn. We'll talk about it, I guess. Fuck. Hilarious. Yeah, clearly I do want to say it right. Everyone wants to say things right. It's like the point of communicating. While the etymology of Mazda, and I'm saying everyone, I'm projecting out, I would like to say things right because that's the point of communicating. When it comes down to there being multiple pronunciations for things, at some point you just got to speak, people get it, and we connect and level up. And if it's really, really wrong, then the universe will overall correct you. Multiple spirits in the universe will be like, that's wrong. That's wrong. And then you'll be good. While the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and our Odin are the closest, if not identical, to Mazda in both the idea and intention. Was that a proper sentence? While the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses. Okay, so this is how they start out the sentence. While the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest. Okay, so yet, while the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are closest, you need to, this is a bad sentence. Oh, why they dropped the ball there? It's whatever. Things happen. Grammatical shit. But like, that's not right. Like, you can't start it out while the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest. Like, we're supposed to use different words. You're not supposed to then end that with, if not identical to Mazda in both the idea and intention. Why'd you start out with while? When you start out with while, who wrote this? Ardashir? Who wrote this? Posted by Orthodox Zoroastrian. All right, cool. Ardashir. Shout out you for writing this, first off. You're awesome. Make the connections. Love what you're doing. I can't fully say that, but I love what you're doing. It's cool that you made this video possible. So just looking at your last sentence though, you can't start out a statement with while and then not wrap up this statement talking about what's happening in comparison or juxtaposition to the first statement. So if you start out a sentence like, while I was going to the store and my mom didn't know, how would I even go? Hilarious. Hold up. I was going to make like a thing about like walking the dog. Because saying I doesn't even work. Because the fact that you said while the etymology of Mazda is closest. So let me say the, not I. Let me put it outside myself. While the art museum is open, yet Starbucks is closed. It would be very wrong for me to take that statement and turn it. I know I'm turning this into a thing. It's just like, this is like kind of funny. It would be very wrong for me to take the statement, while the art museum is open, yet Starbucks is closed. This is just such a wrong sentence. I can't even make myself say it wrong. Because the point is, you would have to say, while the art museum is open, yet Starbucks is closed. This does not mean that you can't go in, for example. Or while the art museum is open, yet the Starbucks is closed, one can find a way to enjoy both if they delegate their time properly. Like, you have to juxtapose. These are like two different statements. But you made this sentence like one thing that like ran into, and it should not have started out with while, basically. Like, if we take the while out, this is okay. That's what just like threw me off. If we take the while out, let's read it without the while. The etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest, if not identical, to Mazda in both the idea and intention. Boom! That's a great sentence. Artist Shear, you did great. Delete this while. Okay? Because the moment you say, while the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, I'm supposed to get a juxtaposition. So then you say, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest. Again, where's my juxtaposition? You started out with while. So we have to balance this out. You can't just keep running into, if not identical to Mazda in idea and intention. No, you confused me. And now I just spent a bunch of this video having to make examples on how confused I am and why I'm confused and why this is wrong. Take the while out. Okay, so this is just English writing lessons for anyone, all right, watching this. Don't start a statement out with while if you're not going to juxtapose some other statement that will balance out that first part. So if you say, while I was going to the store and my mom didn't know, then you would have to end it with, I decided to walk my dog because he deserves the exercise. You know, you couldn't be like, while I went to the store and my mom didn't know. You know what? That's what's tripping me up. When I'm saying it's okay to do that. So I know grammar is weird, but when I'm saying while the moment I say while almost anything after that is actually going to work as a continuation. So this sentence would make sense if it was like while like if I change the etymology of Mazda to, while I am closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest, if not identical to Mazda. No, see, so there we go. So that's where it's still wrong. Yet Woden and or Odin are the closest. You would have to use a word like both. You can't say if not. While and then if not is throwing my brain for a loop. And it's grammatically wrong. Okay? That's hilarious. I'm going on this right now. This is just important for writing things. Because if I change it to, while I am the closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest, if not identical to Mazda, we are both the same in idea and intention. Like, that's what it would have to be. You have to balance it out saying like, we are both, or they are both. Why was my example of me walking to the store not making sense? While I walk to the store, yet my mom doesn't know. Yeah, it's just, I can't really make that not work. Because anything I say after that is like, that doesn't mean I wasn't going to walk my dog. Or like, that doesn't mean that I didn't tell her later. Or, see, it's just literally if not. If not is wrong. Like, you say yet blank blank if not. So while the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and or Odin are the closest, if not identical to Mazda, there needs to be a both and a but, or some kind of, what is the name of that? Is it called a contraction? I forget. But you need some sort of like word that balances out the first while part. You can't say while and then steamroll into something that doesn't make sense now. When we take the while out, it makes perfect sense, right? We look at this sentence. If we take while out, this is a great sentence. This literally is solid. The etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and Odin are the closest, if not identical, to Mazda in both the idea and intention. That works perfectly without while. The moment he throws while in there, that if not doesn't work. So that needs to be changed. All right, you can't have while the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and Odin are the closest, and then say if not identical. It's like you forgot why you wrote out while. It's like you started a different sentence and you forgot that you started out while the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses. It's like you forgot that you were supposed to balance out this first while part. So instead you just went like, oh, yet Odin if it's close, if not identical to Mazda in both idea and intention. It's like, well, what happened to the while? Like, just no, take the while out. All right, I'm. That's so funny. I'm done going super hard on that. That's hilarious. I was just, what's up with my example? Yeah, the moment I say I, while I, that it's hard to mess that one up. Like, I would have to be like, while I am the closest to the inspiring muses, yet they are closest. There we go. That's why it doesn't work. Because I literally set up my sentence well. When I say, while I went to the store, yet my mom did not know. If not, there we go. That's why it wouldn't work. It's literally this if not that's wrong. So if I literally forgot why I said while, let me forget why I said while and make it if not. While I went to the store and my mom didn't know. If not, because she was unaware or something. Like, that's just so bad. Yeah, you can't do that. You really can't do that. That just made me cut up this whole article. But also, this is a good article, okay? It's just, if you were watching this right now, if I could have you change anything, it would literally just be delete the while. Because that while is extra. That's throwing me entirely off. And now I just spent what felt like 10 minutes dissecting how hard this threw me off. While the etymology of Mazda is closest to the inspiring muses, yet Woden and Odin are the closest. They are both identical in idea and intention. That's how it would be proper. To say while, then they are both. Not while one is closest, yet Woden are the closest, if not identical. Like, you just forgot the while. You forgot the while. So anyway, the point is, that was an example of Odin right there inside of me, just going really Virgo mode. Okay, so this is why the Virgo sign, okay, that's big Mercury energy. Zoroaster and Odin both got the Virgo moon, because the Virgo is hypercritical. The Virgo is all about structure. The Virgo is all about creating connections that make sense. So this is why Virgos are very detail oriented and they're very practical. And it's all about the nervous system, because your nervous system creates connections that make sense. This is where Virgos also get nervous, because they start to get too lost in the details and too focused on how things connect. Like, a lot of people wouldn't care about that being wrong, but the Virgo in me cares about how words connect. And I care about grammar. I care about structure, syntax, whatever. I don't get lost in caring about it, but I do care a lot about it. Like, I was a kid growing up that was correcting other kids' grammar. So I do care about how we structure our words and making sure that we have consistency between the relationship in words, or else things won't make sense like that. And when things don't make sense, it forces people to not really view what you're doing as stable. So luckily, I mean, this is a very stable article, right? But if there were a bunch of grammatical errors like that one, it would be hard to take the article seriously, because the way that this person is creating this earth looks unstable. So it doesn't actually look very grounded or practical. Thus, no one really wants to stand on it. Like, why would you stand on earth that's unstable? You know, that's why people are supposed to move out of California. There's going to be earthquakes here. You know, California's earthquake is going to break off into the ocean and shit. So no one wants to live on land that's going to break off into the ocean. No one wants to live on land that's having earthquakes all day, every day. Right? The point of Earth is that it's supposed to be stable. So that's where Virgo, being 11 in Zoroastrian zodiac system, our thing, chase your genes. That's, again, all about structure, and Virgo is hyper conscious of hell. Because Virgo is hyper conscious of that Spider-Man energy, of how it has to hold structures together so that technology can work. And then this is where you get literally just that analytical mindset, like a computer person or just any like data person, where they have to constantly hold algorithms or things together so that your technology can work. That's a lot of Virgo energy. So yeah, that's just where that's coming from. Okay, this is where I'm coming from. All right, my moon is in Virgo and my Mars is in Virgo. So literally, that's yeah, that's how Woden gets down. That's how Ahura Mazda gets down. And in general, it's just about Mercury, all right, creating connections that become the structure for life to actually progress so that people can keep conducting business, right? So the health industry uses the caduceus to conduct business because they're already weaponizing your body to build their body. And you're building a body in a world where it's only possible because of all these indigenous spirits that they're cannibalizing the creations of. So they're riding off of our wave. So Virgo energy, all about hell, all about structure, and it gets very negative. Okay, Virgos are they can be very negative because they point out problems and structures a lot. So this is where a Virgo can be hypercritical of your life. That's why the Virgo is like the coach of the zodiac signs, because a coach is supposed to be critical of how you're communicating so that you can communicate better. So a Virgo in their most negative energy, they're just like critical of everyone. Like when I get really negative, like when I'm in my real Virgo energy, I'm just criticizing everything because I'm in my imagination like, man, this structure could be better like this. Things could be better like that, better like that. I already see how this could be better. This could be better like that. Make a better connection. Connect it like that. And then it just becomes me trying to like manage everything outside of myself. Metatron the manager. All that Virgo shit. So I find balance in that. I have to find balance in that. That shit's not fun for me because it's stressful. You get neurotic. Like you get more nervous the more you try to control things. The more you try to hold things together versus letting things be, right? But obviously you need a balance of these things. If you're not trying to hold things together in a structure in some degree, you're not going to have a body. Like you literally would not have been able to pull bones and cells together. So that's why you're always going to have some of that Virgo stress of holding things together. But it is just about how much do we embody and resonate with these energies. So that's where Mercury is big into authorizing that Virgo energy, that virgin energy into existence. Because Mercury represents how really my space is creating new structures inside of virgins. And virgins is a space that has not previously had an awareness inside of it yet. So Mercury is always expanding and creating new structures inside of spaces that previously were not aware. So now spaces can come get connected and become more aware of the structures that are evolving and growing out of that space. And that's where, again, Virgo, being the virgin, is all about your structure. It's all about your hell. That's your 11 energy. So on that note, we're out of here. Okay, shout out the person who wrote this article, Artist Shear. All right, just take that while out of the last sentence, and you did a great job. This has been Internet Investigations. Hey, we will continue seeing what's up online. This is just me making connections for myself, proving myself right, because I know who I am, but you don't know who I am. No one outside of me knows who I am because I have to communicate that into existence. But if I don't have relatable earth and relatable structures that people are already connected to communicate with, then how are we going to be able to build anything? Like what I'm saying won't make sense. So there's a big difference between me saying these things versus pulling up articles and pulling up information on the internet where all these other humans that were born and came before this body of Chase and the system that came before this body of Chase are already talking about what I want to talk about, but in a more lost way because these Masons stole it from my past lives. Much love. Peace. Yeah.